entertain some questions, but I really want this to be a team effort. You are going to get a basket of supplies. That does not mean you have to use all of them. You are welcome to use whatever is there. I also put some over on the table here, just leftover stuff. What you are going to get, I would like one group, or each group to set up one person to come get a basket. This is your challenge. You are going to design a light fixture that is going to shine a light on a social issue. Design a light fixture that will shine a light on a social issue. Now I did put, you will see, this is not required. I found these, I thought they might be kind of cool. They do not work, so don't feel that you need to use it. That's as much direction as I'll give you. But you are going to have 15 minutes. If you guys are completely engaged and really just working, I'll extend the time. But this is your challenge. Starting now. Go.
Okay.
Can we do multiple issues? We can do
Tape this bunch of like these rubber bands to the mask, and then like hide the light bulb underneath the mask, and then when you open it up, like you see it. So like the light of the light that's underneath the mask or something.
I like that. I was actually thinking something like that, like using like the how it's like see-through.
Yeah, and like we could probably like make that stand, and then I see.
Have you guys decided an issue or not?
Hey.
Okay. So the idea is you are making, now imagine you have an issue like right now a current issue in Briggs is graduation rate, right? An actual light fixture is not going to shine a light on that physically, so be creative about it. It doesn't have to be a realistic light fixture, and you have to somehow incorporate the issue you decide. Maybe that should be your first thing, is what is something you guys care about that you want the theme to be, and then move on to, like, don't get stumped by the light fixture part.
How about we do like trying to shine a light on like who you really are. Like you say have the mask right here, but you're trying to find your true colors. Find your true colors. Have it orange. I don't know. Jeez.
I'm liking what I'm hearing. Just keep going. It's tough to think of ideas. Go for it.
You might, but I wonder if you could wrap the rubber bands around this part. If you
See, I'm trying to
like
like
that.
because they're not very tight, so I don't want to break it.
I don't think that twice would probably break it.
I don't know. I just don't want to be that guy.
Good job, Trent. You broke it.
Then we have to do this.
So wait, are we putting that?
Maybe on the other wall. First we're gonna put a light bulb right here.
So wait, so we're doing this right here, right? And we're gonna leave this open, that way you can see inside of it.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put one here and one here.
Should we put one? Okay, should we put one on the bottom and then have like tape the bulb down so it stays standing
I
straight
don't know
up?
how to. You
We can somehow tape it to this and have it hanging. But it kind of cut this. You see what I mean? Like hanging from the ceiling.
what?
Like this.
I don't think that's strong enough to hold it though.
We could stick a piece of paper like that, and we could tape the paper.
But what would be strong enough to hold it? Paper's gonna like fold.
This. We'll poke a hole like this.
Okay.
Tie it. We'd have to cut it first.
I'm making it stand up, but I want the black to be on there. So try working. Sort of. Yeah, you just gotta stick it in the basket.
If you happen to bust the basket, you're not in trouble.
Okay.
So you know. First and foremost, what I love about these things is that everybody gets the same supplies and everybody uses them differently. And some people kind of go outside of what they were given. So and then some people stay within that boundary. So there's no right or wrong, but I like that some of you took those risks. If your curiosities, start thinking of questions you might want to ask. And then meet me back at Million Day on the table.
The reason there's a light bulb in the middle is because like when it's off, it's kind of hard to like see all the words inside. It's kind of hard to see like what's actually going on. Let's say we were to turn the light bulb on, it'd be easier to like read everything inside. So it's like the world issues. So basically, if we just turn the light off, like we act as if we don't see it. But like when the light's on, you can really see what's going on.
What are your issues?
We have LGBT rights, world hunger, racism, and Troy put stolen memes on the bottom.
Stolen memes.
Symbolically,
Symbolically, how does a light turn on?
the
What's
only
the
way
switch?
to turn it on is
Ideas.
the only way to turn it on is to basically allow yourself to turn it on.
And, like,
If you're
recognize the
blinded by
issue.
what the government tells you or what somebody else tells you, you're not going to be able to see what's actually wrong in front of you.
So to turn the light on, you just have to recognize what is going on and make your own opinion about it instead of just taking for granted that someone else's opinion is right.
Well,
Okay, that's fine.
it didn't really work too well.
Well, so this is like society's mask, and what we said a lot, mainly towards girls with a lot of makeup and everything, or you know, just like that kind of stuff. But we said that you guys can take your mask off and let your light shine and show your true colors.
Yeah, our original plan was to kind of like make it attached to the pencil or whatever, make it like a light post, but
But
Okay.
it just wasn't working with the whole
it
screen.
wasn't working out.
Would it have changed at all if it was a light post?
Well, we were trying to like attach the mask to it and still be able to take it off and like hide the light bulb. It just wasn't working.
Structurally, yeah,
So we
that's
just
tough.
said this worked too. So.
It does work. It was a good compromise. Can I get some just volunteers to tell me what the hardest part about this was, Chris?
Instead of you sitting and giving us time to like think like we normally do, you just sat and said, "Here's your materials, go." That's it.
A little bit of pressure.
And we were just like, "Wait, what? Like, what are we supposed to do?" And then
A little bit of
we had
struggle in the
We had to
beginning.
sit there and think about it. Like my group, we had 3 different ideas at first, and then it kind of turned into that one.
I think another hard thing was that you kind of had to try to build like your idea out of the materials that you kind of had. So it was like, oh, we can do this, but we don't have this, or
Right.
you know, we don't have the ability to make something
So
specific.
did you have?
At first, I was just trying to think of ideas, but I was like, I need to kind of look at the materials and see like what can we use as an idea out of what we have.
And we kind of like, I was just like playing around with these little rubber bands, and like I was just putting them on the light bulb, just like messing around. He's like, hey, we could actually do that. I'm like, hey, that works.
So just from playing, your idea was born, was it not? How many people tell you to quit messing around, quit playing because there's no room for play in school?
A lot.
A lot.
I think it was just so limited, and it was like the first 5 minutes of class though.
And you just weren't awake yet,
Yeah.
weren't really ready.
Yeah.
What was limiting? The topic?
The time,
The time?
like thinking about like an issue. I know there's a lot, but it was hard to pick one.
So this idea was part of the Creativity Summit. Actually, I believe I've done it one other time at last summer at the Institute for Creativity. I thought it was great, and it was very interesting to see how the adults kind of discussed the whole idea of, or one, deciding on an issue, but two, using what you would probably say is arts and crafts materials to create a light fixture. So just from personal experience, I really enjoyed it, and this group of kids has kind of impressed me all year with their ideas, so I knew that they would kind of take it and roll with it. There was my group of Trent and Brooke. At first, I kept like going back over there because I'm like, they're not really doing anything, and they're usually like my two deep thinkers, and like I don't know where they're going with this. So they kind of surprised me at the end with they figured it out. They were just stumped on how to construct, and then once they knew their idea, and persistence through failure was a big one. I saw a lot of failure happening, but not in a crippling way. A lot of trial and error. They were trying some things, wasn't working. Let's try this instead. And then collaboration amongst the students. I loved how Ivy and Troy and Chris they all came to the table with their own social issues and found a way to combine it. I think the climate in this classroom, I personally established that this is a no-fail zone. And I encourage them to try things out and risk take. And it gets a little frustrating on my end as a teacher because we don't always have a defined deadline. It's not like we're going to start this project on Monday and we'll be done by Friday. I have to be really flexible, and the students have learned to be really flexible with that too. But I'm constantly repeating to them, let's try it. If it doesn't work, we'll start over again. Or if it falls apart, then we need to rethink this. And I have been drilling that into them all year, and I can't say that came naturally to me. That's been a lot of training and PD and workshops and things like that, but it has made them willing to jump into something like this, and they don't crumble and fall apart, and they can handle it. It's very overwhelming to think about changing the whole way you were trained to do something, and we all come out of our universities and our teaching programs, and you have your teaching philosophy, and you're supposed to do this and do this and do this, and then you get in a classroom and that all falls apart because you're presented with these kids that are coming from every which direction. So my strategy has been, I have probably an idea book about this big of things that I want to do, and I'll pick one that seems feasible. Let's try this today. And if it works, we'll push it a little bit more next week. And once that gets rolling, try the next idea. I have been, I think, incorporating things one by one into my classroom, but another thing that helped me this year is I didn't try to go big and change every class. I had one class I saw some potential in, started trying some things, and now they're a class that this is how I want to run every class. Maybe next year I'll try 2. Maybe I'm confident enough to do 3, and if not that, like I'm thinking about my yearbook kids on Fridays. I want to just devote it to creativity, because that tends to be a class where they just become workhorses. They have their assignments and they do it, and I want them to kind of focus that this is fun too. We're going to have fun and it's going to be interesting, and you can still learn in this class. It's not just about meeting deadlines. So that's one thing I'm going to try, and that's one little change. You can do Fridays. Fridays are easy. Projects, I think that just the foundation of creative thinking can translate to anything. Being collaborative, coming up with new ideas, processing through failure, that's not, exactly, that's life.
Yeah.
It's life in general, and there's no, that's the other thing that kills me is there is room and there is time for those fun projects. You just have to make it. And there's no, like, they can still be learning the content, but it just looks different. And I think that flexibility, it's hard for some people, and it took being a part of, honestly, the very first thing I taught at this art camp in the summers between my college semesters that it was called the Imagine Attic in Cincinnati, and it was a dream. It was wonderful, but the whole premise was the kids would come in to a classroom, all different ages, and they would be prompted with an idea, and they would have a room that they would have to transform over the course of those 5 days. And because by Friday we needed a space to play in that was in that theme. Of course, they had every supply they wanted, but a lot of cardboard boxes, and these kids kind of designed and curated this space that they got to play in. And that was the first time for me, I think, that it dawned on me that there is a lot of value in play, and these kids are thinking creatively and they're solving problems, and they're kids. There were 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds that were doing this. And I absolutely, that's I think what drove me into my first professional development with Columbus Museum of Art. I saw the same principles, and then I've just fallen for you guys ever since. But no, it is. I think for adults to see that, they need to be able to observe and process. Just seeing a kid play and not looking at it through the eyes of an educator, sometimes it just gets dismissed as play. So I do think you have to give them those experiences and kind of lead them to that thing.